My name is Chen Weiling, and I'm tom60229, and I have Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, but I didn't use it. 今年的话，我自己最喜欢的选手应该是 Viper 吧，因为 Viper 他在很多细节的处理上蛮好，就是他有想到，他每一回合拿来思考的时间是真的很认真在想，出了这张牌之后，对方会做什么回应，这样是比较好的一个做法。当然，他最后在冠亚赛第一场没打好，但是整体来说，我觉得他表现蛮稳定。枪术法呢，我自己很常。就是之前常常打资格赛的时候刚好遇到，那整体来说对上他的时候也是都蛮有压力。自己最喜欢的是奴隶战，在奴隶战的部分，其实那个时候台湾的奴隶战大部分选手是参照我的打法。那其实我的打法跟欧美的打法非常不一样，甚至很多欧美选手觉得我很多打法是错的，但是我觉得。在奴隶战的打法上，我领先他们蛮多。在大师职业联赛里面，我当然希望可以赢越多场越好。那当然，最后目标就是冠军。
제 이름은 조현수이고요. 네, C9 소속의 플러리라는 닉네임으로 활동을 하고 있습니다. 그 트위치 방송도 스트리밍도 하고 있는데 트위치 스트리밍은 플러리 1989로 찾아와 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 제 얘기를 하는 게 좋을 것 같아요. 저는 역시 오젠 하스스톤 마스터즈 코리아 시즌 6에서 우승했을 때 그때가 제일 기억에 남고 지금 이 자리에 있는 것도 그 덕분이라고 생각하거든요. 그 덕분에 HGG도 이제 참여를 2017년도에 참여를 해서 한국에서 4강까지 올려놓기도 했었고 그래서 그때가 제일 생각이 많이 나는 것 같습니다. 처음에 한국에서 영어 아이디를 좀 OGN에서 이제 경기를 하기 위해서는 영어 아이디가 좀 필요했거든요. 그래서 딱 생각난 게 이제 지어야 되는데 딱 생각난 게 플러리라는 닉네임이 좀 생각이 났는데 블레이드 플러리라는 풍의 칼날이라는 카드에서 좀 따온 닉네임이에요. 지금 현존하는 카드 중에서 저는 마음가짐이라는 카드가 정말 사기 카드라고 생각하거든요. 그리고 앞으로 도적의 이제 주문의 패치를 함에 있어서 그 도적 카드가 나옴에 있어서 마음가짐 때문에 제약이 많이 된다고 생각해요. 저는 개인적으로. 그래서 마음가짐을 어떻게 조정하지 않는 이상 계속 덱에 넣고 게임을 하지 않을까라는 생각입니다.
We are back with Flurry versus tom60229, and we've been talking a little bit, or most of our matches today have been more about the lower side of the table, whereas this one's going to be a top one. Flurry currently sitting at number 1 in Division A, and Tom down there, slightly below at number 3 with 3 wins and 4 respectively as well. So Flurry doing extremely well. Looking forward to actually just progressing his lead at 5-0. But I do believe we could check out Tom's list first, I think. Hey, I'm good. Okay, so it's going to be another Holy Wrath Paladin, so back-to-back Holy Wraths. Is there any large differences in this list versus Frosty's, G, with, of course, the overall strategy being the same?
Yeah, what's sticking out to me is the package of 1 attack minions he's chosen. He's got the Bloodsail Corsair and Acolyte of Pain there, and he's cut a Shrink Ray, I think, and a Consecration compared to Frosty's primary. So the Bloodsail Corsair is the one that really sticks out to me because it just doesn't seem like a great 1 attack minion these days in place of Blood Mage Thalnos, which is not in the deck, I think. And it's there clearly because he thought there would still be rogues, and there are 4 in APAC, and he managed to hit one of them for this first matchup, so that's going to be pretty useful for Tom since Flurry still has the Waggle pick in the list. It is just a one of because Flurry is running the Burgle package as opposed to the more tempo-oriented double Deadly Poison list.
Right, but yeah, the overall plan of this Paladin is the same as we just saw from Frosty, is draw your deck, then kill them for 25 or potentially more with the Cheval of the Tiger combo. And yeah, I think for me, in the history, because these kind of big OTK Paladin decks have existed before. Holy Wrath, along with, say, even Anything Can Happen. There are these big high damage Paladin decks that have existed in the past, and I've enjoyed playing them, and I've always slightly lent more towards just more card draw. I'll just draw my deck quicker than my opponent, and it's fine. I'll just draw my deck quicker than normal. So I do kind of like this from Tom, just removing a few of the removal tools and just saying, well, I won't need the removal if the game goes 2 to 3 turns quicker than normal anyway. But let's check out Flurry's list as well, as this week I'm going to make up names of all the weeks, okay? And it's going to be like maybe film names, for example, but I'll get to them anyway. But this one so far is just the return of Rogue. It's my working title because Rogue pretty much went away with the nerfs last week. Yeah, I believe players did not just have the time to prep, but this past week on almost all of the main players' streams, as well as non-Grandmasters players, just Hearthstone players in general, have been all about Rogue as far as I'm concerned. And there were mainly 2 lists that have popped up. There's the Party Rogue, which is more reminiscent of a pre-nerf Rogue, just without prep. And there's this one that's, I don't know, Water Rogue, do people want to call it? Because of mainly the Spirit of the Shark being the thing that sticks out the most. But give us a breakdown of this Thief package as well.
First of all, I want to say this is not the true Water Rogue because it's not running the Sea Giant and the other Shark. Because there's a lot of cards that make it water related. But yeah, this is running the Burgle package with the Vendetta sticking out as the main reason for wanting to run that, because you are just trying to remove things as efficiently as possible. Without the raiding party though, you only need to probably run 1 Waggle pick because you're not going to draw it as, you're not going to want something to draw off of the raiding party as consistently, but that's going to be pretty annoying because he can pretty much never play the Waggle pick against Tom unless he's okay with it getting sniped immediately by the Bloodsail Corsair.
Yeah, there's no Captain Greenskin as well, so even if you go for those late Waggle pick into Greenskin turns, it doesn't matter because he's not actually going to play it. But this deck, I feel like, I do agree, the Vendetta is absolutely huge. The sheer tempo is absurd, and especially with, it's not a mirror match, so cards, for example, like Blink Fox, will get full value because they will generate not a Rogue's card, which means you can use Vendetta more often in every matchup that isn't Rogue. But also, this deck is just very, very aggressive. There is some value base, which is why the Spirit of the Shark's there as well, along with Togwaggle. But you can get aggressive with Spirit of the Shark, which is, double effects on Life Drinker, even Henchcon Burglar for more cards, which equal more damage a lot of the time. There's more lackeys that are going to pop up, more SI7 agent damage, and so on and so on. So really, this deck, I feel, is the most flexible out of the current versions of Rogue, but it doesn't mean it isn't aggressive, even though it's got some cards that look a little bit slow.
Yeah, I also want to highlight that poor Flurry, his battle tag is named after his favorite card, which got nerfed. His interview talked about him wanting to play Preparation in every Rogue deck until it got nerfed, and this interview was done before the nerfs happened, and now it's been nerfed, and now it's not in the deck, and neither is Raiding Party. But
so basically what we're saying is we need to message Flurry and say in his next interview he has to talk a lot about Dr. Boom. And then it'll get nerfed. So that's the way we're going to have to deal with that, I guess.
The Flurry curse. And another thing I wanted to bring up is that particularly against OTK Paladin, even before the nerfs, I thought OTK Paladin did pretty well against Rogue. Granted, you ran double Bloodsail Corsair back in the day, and now the lists are a little bit different, but then I still think the Paladin just gets there because True Silver Champion just deals with their mid-game so efficiently. The difference, though, with Flurry having this Burgle package instead of the purely tempo package is now sometimes the Rogue can discover ways to cheese out the Paladin. Just some weird thing like a Spell Ward Jeweler, like a counter spell, even an Eye for an Eye to bring the game to a draw. If you can discover something, and he will get many shots at it with Shark and Burglar and Blink Fox. There's a way that something Tom just can't account for could happen.
I think very slowly now we're starting to see at least the idea behind Thief Rogue, in that it's so unpredictable. It's one of the first decks, I feel, that is very unpredictable in Hearthstone. Yes, you could argue, Archville and Reform, yes, unpredictable card, but I feel like this whole deck, 1 minute it's generating tons of lackeys and tons of value with Tog. Next minute, you're just dead with the Shark into Life Drinkers, and it goes kind of nutty in every single game, and I think that's the skill and the curse of the deck at the same time, right? If you can manage all these very strange outcomes and generated by, it's fantastic and very powerful. But your opponent also has to try and manage that too, and it's, I don't know if you know, but it's very difficult to play around every single Hearthstone card in the game.
I don't know how arena players do it, man. Like,
I've not played Arena for many years now, and I don't think I'm going to be going back for that reason.
so Tom has had a decent opener, not quite the Crystology, but he's had the coin True Silver to answer already the SI, and it's gonna answer this Hench Clan Burglar should it come out next turn. So Tom is just sitting on a bunch of removal as well with the Hammer of Wraths. Double Holy Wrath and Baleful and Timeout is not really what you want to see in the early game, but Flurry's hand isn't uber aggressive. It's aggressive, but it's more like close out the game instead of roll into these threats.
Upgrade isn't the end of the world, but it does rely on that one waggle pick.
Yeah.
Maybe Ray of Frost is, I mean, Ray of Frost is a fantastic card. Maybe that's just good enough.
What do you want to freeze though from OTK Paladin? I think you go for the upgrade. The only benefit I see to Ray of Frost is maybe 2 things to buff an Edwin, but it's not in hand.
Yeah.
So I like the upgrade. Oh, he's just gonna go for it now too. To me, that seems a bit weird.
Well, I think Flurry looks like he just wants to go as quick as possible and just kill Tom. Look at his hand. Double Eviscerate, Leroy, and there's the Myras. So it's just like, go, go, go. And one like weird thing about Shark, it's a very slow turn to develop it, but it creates a bonkers turn normally the turn after. There's number 2. But also, the Shark being killed by this True Silver, I feel, is fine. Like, Flurry got value from it, and the True Silver didn't actually kill a minion that is an attacking form of minion.
It is a bit of a sad hand for Flurry though, because without the preps, it's going to be very difficult to empty this hand in the way he wants to, because obviously you want to draw as much as possible with Myras, but you don't want to be throwing out the Eviscerates and Leroy before it's lethal, because the Paladin just heals up immediately after. And the Shark has no synergy in the hand unless you want the anti-synergy with Leroy.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of ways you can play this, and it definitely depends on any more generated cards that Flurry gets, but you can slowly just poke damage and kind of just bait Tom into not going there and then go 14 plus anything on board. And I think it might be what he has to do. Because
right now I think he's on a hope to top deck Miscreant plan.
Yeah. Oh, and
even Blink Fox is fine. Yeah.
SI7 Agent would be fine at this point. Oh, the one he can't play in the same turn as Shark. I think he just waits though.
I think he just drops the Life Drink or Hero
Really?
Power.
I think Shark Hero Power, kill the 1/1 and just push for 3. Next turn you can push additional 6 with Life Drinker, plus whatever card you draw. I think that's how you do it, right? You just want to not look like you're setting up lethal, because it's just side bonuses of the Shark.
Sure.
It sounds really weird to play these kind of mind games, but Flurry's actually going for the Life Drinker now. Interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking you might need to hold on to the Shark for more value, because I just don't think this hand gets there. Even though you're sitting on 14 damage, you have the Myras, the Paladin can just time out.
Right.
And then you die to fatigue. No, you won't immediately, but of course they can just time out 2 turns in a row. In one of those turns they fit in the heal, and then you have absolutely nothing to do. I'm not sure if this is correct though, because sometimes you just have to do what your hand tells you to do, and Flurry's hand is telling him to end the game as quickly as possible.
Also as well, by playing the Life Drinker first, it means that within the same space of time you still deal 6. So that's just, because it gets to attack, right? So it's not the end of the world in terms of just how much damage gained, but there's a timeout already. Tom's just saying a hard pass.
Yeah, because his hand is so terrible that he needs to get rid of things, and this is the... Ooh, yeah, that is a whoa. But that is the problem with running Acolyte sometimes. It's too clunky. You play it, and you risk your opponent overdrawing you, versus just playing something like another Elven Archer, or even Blood Mage Thalnos. At least it only draws 1 card guaranteed.
Okay, do you want to know my play? Dire Frenzy, wait for the Shivala, and then Myra's into heal.
You do the thing.
You didn't see the line!
Well, that line only works if you're above 25 the whole time.
He's above 25 right now, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Andy has a Regenerate.
But the counter spell, that's a kicker right there.
I mean, I guess that's okay. But that would have been sick. Yeah. Rogue, Dire Frenzy's the Shivala, and then Myra's to draw them.
Yeah. So this is absolutely a result of Flurry not going for the all-in game plan and trying to maximize value from the Shark to get another chance to get something that Tom simply cannot play around 100%, which is this counterspell. Of course, there is still some counterplay if Tom just...
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wow, that's like 2 turns of delay.
Yeah, and Paladin's
Yeah.
not really playing anything that you can throw away, right?
So I think the timeout is much less relevant than the counterspell because essentially they just don't play anything on your timeout turn and then they take 1 more fatigue.
Right.
So it's relevant if you've gotten damage onto them that they feel like they absolutely need to lethal you this turn and no later than that. But because Tom is very healthy, I think the timeout, it's not necessarily going to be great, but of course it's very useful at some point.
It can also be pretty good in not putting yourself below 25. Yeah, if you want to
Sure,
trade
yeah.
or, you know, there's a turn where you can't stop the minions, so you don't want to get put that low. This is kind of funny because Flurry's going to receive the end of this very flexible Elven Archer right now. If we really, well, you killed one of the 1/1s. Well, my Archer deals 1, so that makes up the difference.
And I'm just thinking if Tom has a way to play around the counterspell. Okay, so obviously going Banker and Holy Wrath is 7 damage expended in the turn, so he could proc a counterspell with timeout, but I doubt he's gonna be holding the timeout the entire game. It depends though. I think he's still got our Crystology left, so that can also proc counterspell. But obviously he won't be thinking to hold on to spells until...
Right, well, you need to draw your deck, and your spells draw your deck, right?
Exactly, until the counterspell comes out. So I think this part of the game is very much a formality. Obviously, Flurry has this game plan of using the counterspell, and going for Myra's means that he is not waiting to go for that game plan. I feel like the Myra's is counterintuitive to the counterspell. So he has to decide now what's the line. Is he going for the aggro?
I don't think he can, right? He only has 2 Eviscerates, and, you know, and of course Myra's.
Yeah, but Leroy's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, he's used Leroy, and also in the deck there's like there's a Life Drinker, there's Tog, and I'm already running out of cards that are even remotely aggressive.
Yeah. I guess Miscreant's getting lackeys and stuff.
Yeah,
but
sure. Very difficult game from Flurry here.
yeah, I mean, I think in this position I'd be inclined to just hope Tom messes up and hope that the counterspell gets you there, prevent the 1 Holy Wrath. Obviously, he still has to worry about the other Holy Wrath at that point, though.
That's it, right? He actually needs to do it in a... Oh, there's counterspell now.
So if he's going for this now, that means he plans to Myra's next turn.
Not bad as well. He does have the Regenerate, which is an easy card to just use and empty out the hand.
So Tom, gonna start with a Novice and test for Mirror Entity. No, so that's not it. So there's 5 other possible Mage Spirits. Secrets from his perspective. Yeah. I think he is fine just going for a True Silver on this because he's seen Leroy Abyss already. He knows there are no lackeys in hand, and he's seen a Life Drinker and both Sharks, so some crazy damage lackey plus Shadow Step thing is not too scary either. What's unfortunate is he doesn't have healing in hand. So this 3 damage is semi-permanent.
Yeah, he gets the heal from the True Silver, of course. But oh, sorry. Yeah. I want to ask, like, how much does Tom have to consider those cards? The 2 cards he doesn't know could be anything. Because you obviously can't play around everything, but do you ever play around any game-breaking cards? And do you even think about that?
I think not this early on. Obviously, if Flurry were trying to disrupt the combo and have that as his game plan, the counterspell would have come out much later. And then at that point, Tom has to stop and think, oh, do I still have a spell in hand to play around this? Can I do it comfortably? If not, then you just go for it. But I think the fact that Flurry played the counterspell really early should signal to Tom that he's not trying to take this game to the very end. Otherwise, he could have tried and tricked me that way. So this is looking like a Myra. Yeah.
You think he's going to play the timeout? Is timeout worth a card? I guess it is, if you Flurry at least.
Ooh, Edwin though.
And the Waggle pick as well, definitely nothing to sniff at in terms of damage, and with only a timeout as effective heal, I'll call it, Tom could just die.
Well, he could, yeah. I mean, the Shrink Ray will deal with the Edwin, but Tom doesn't have healing.
And also, as well, well, there's a heal. But also, the Shrink Ray dealing with Justin Edwin is a very expensive card that just beats one card, right?
Yeah.
It's 5 mana a lot of his turn. The rest of his turn, he can't draw any more cards outside of that Flash of Light.
Let me think.
I feel like Tom might want to play one Holy Wrath here just for cycle, as opposed to going for something like Shrink Ray and Flash of Light. The scary thing is that means he's not healing this turn. But having seen double Evis and Leroy...
He can heal timeout, right?
Oh,
Just
so instead of the
Cle-
Edwin.
yeah.
Okay.
If you leave Cleave, you can, well, especially now with the Pyro, but you can always just Shrink Ray next turn if you take 0 damage this turn.
Yeah, this is obviously really good because Flurry also just fatigues for an extra one and can do nothing about it.
Except timeout.
Nothing.
Sprint! Woohoo!
Those are literally
Garbage.
the worst set of 3 road cards I've ever seen in a game. In this situation, of course. Oh, deal 2's not bad.
With the Shadow Step, sure. He might prefer to Shadow Step the Life Drinker. And I think he's fine to just equip the Waggle pick here because the Bloodsail Corsair is a 1-of. So, like, you're only getting 4 out of it anyway.
I guess, do you
If
need
you
to save
accept
the
it.
mana is my question. Is the risk worth the mana? Probably not, right?
Well, I think to maximize damage, you would want to go Life Drinker, Step Life Drinker. And you can't fit in the Lackey with the Waggle pick if you do that, right?
Okay.
Well, there's the Corsair. Obviously, this is just
So
going to be...
Flurry got away with it.
yeah.
Just.
Or maybe he wants to set up a board where, like, the Waggle pick and the Life Drinker is on board. Oh, well, he'll have seen the Corsair now, so the Waggle's going to get the max damage in.
Yeah, that's really good. Because of the minions he has, it means that the second swing can guarantee that extra Shadow Step. Well, did Tom really need to play that 1-2?
I do not know.
It's easy for us to say because we can see Flurry's plan, but did killing 1 charge of a 1-attack weapon when Flurry doesn't play Deadly Poison, for example, or Greenskin?
So he needs timeout. Obviously, Flurry doesn't play a minion there to deny the Shrivala healing something, but Tom is just gonna go for the lethal because
he just gets it
last
because
card
Shrivala
in
was
deck.
literally his last
Oh
card.
my gosh!
Tom played the game perfectly without the knowledge that
Wait.
Shrivala... You don't need to run bankers if Shrivala's the bottom 30th card. That's pretty nuts.
I don't think I've seen that either in my day of Shrivala just naturally being last and then not playing the banker.
I think I've only seen the Holy Wraths come out when it's desperation, like say 5 cards left, your Holy Wrath and cross your fingers. It hits the Shrivala. But yeah, Flurry had a fantastic moment and a fantastic setup. And it's, I guess, I'll say not disappointing for me because I'm just casting, I don't mind. But it's just kind of disappointing for Flurry, I guess, to be like, oh, there was no setup required. I just died at that turn. So that's kind of nuts. Flurry takes a loss against Tom so far, 0-1 against his Holy Wrath Paladin. From the way we've seen it so far today, maybe Paladin was just the pick this week. But Flurry isn't currently on his flawless victory run so far for nothing. He might be able to fight back, so find out after this.
We recently revealed Hearthstone. Tiered esports program. Masters qualifiers are already well underway, and now we're ready to share details on the highest level of competitive play, Hearthstone Grandmasters. Are you ready to unlock all the secrets of Hearthstone Grandmasters?
Come close and listen.
Here goes. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports, composed of 48 of the best pro players in the entire world. Grandmasters is divided into 3 regions: Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific, with each represented by 16 pros. These pros are selected by special invitation from Blizzard Entertainment. Criteria for selection include lifetime earnings, Hearthstone competitive points earned, contributions to the Hearthstone community, and more. So who are the lucky Grandmasters? Stay tuned because in the coming weeks we'll be revealing the inaugural Grandmaster roster region by region. In 2019, there will be 2 seasons of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Each season will feature 8 weeks of world-class competition played out in online tournaments. Grandmasters pros will earn both prize money and performance-based bonuses during the season, and they will automatically qualify to compete at all Hearthstone Masters Tour events, guaranteeing these marquee tournaments feature the fiercest competitors possible. And the best part? You won't miss a second of the action because matches will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/playhearthstone. 5 matches will be broadcast every Friday, with 5 more every Saturday. And if that isn't enough Hearthstone action, there will be 6 matches broadcast every Sunday.
More souls!
Mark your calendars because the first season begins on May 17th. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of professional Hearthstone, where the world's best pros battle it out every weekend online. Think you've got what it takes to reach the top? The path to Grandmasters starts with our Masters qualifier tournaments, so sign up today.
Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling. Someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure.
We are back with Flurry versus tom60229, and Tom currently taking the lead with that Holy Wrath Paladin, been pretty impressive at least so far today. And I believe both players are going to be sticking on their primary decks as well. So if we just take a quick glance at the notes, there's Hench Clan Thugs and 2 Walt the Planks in one of Flurry's lists, and then 2 Preparations, because it's Flurry, and 1 Underbelly Fence and 2 Fan of Knives in his other. So both lists for Flurry at least, outside of maybe just relying on Hench Clan Thugs, are going to be good enough, but he loses a Waggle Pick, SI7 Agent, Ziliax, so on.
Yeah.
I guess the list just, the secondary and tertiary just aren't good enough to get the job done versus Paladin.
Well, I think the secondary was specifically for Mage, and yeah, the benefit of running 2 Thugs doesn't seem worth the downside of running 2 Walk the Plank, so I do agree with his decision to stick with the primary, and now he's on the coin with Edwin, and that is the way you blow out this matchup, because Edwin comes down way before Shrink Ray is available for Tom to try and deal with it, and Tom, because he's sticking with the primary, he's not running the Humility, which could, wow. This could be a very big cleave.
Yeah, I think the humilities are there for the mages too as well. So both players having decks that, you know, maybe could get a bit of work done, but not for the trade-offs of the cards they swapped out. A big deal as well is because Equality, you know, fairly recently got nerfed to 4 mana. It means you can't even try and set up 2 turns of, you know, Equality into something quick enough to kill Edwin. Yeah. It's actually just too slow, and well, I wonder what we're going to see from Flurry in the next couple of turns in terms of this cleave.
It might not get that huge because there are not enough backstab targets, but if Tom goes for the hero power here, and most signs point to him probably doing it, although there's a lot of reason to not to deny backstab, but
I think you never do it, right? What does he even do? I don't know.
I feel like if you are on coin and you're denying your opponent's backstab into Miscreant, you would not hero power, but I think because he's on the play and the most likely answer from Flurry is to just dagger, I think it's fine. But yeah, now that he's done that, there is an Edwin. I mean, of course, this is being very results oriented. I could not tell you if it was objectively correct or not to hero power.
And it might not be the craziest Edwin in the world, but it's also not being answered anytime soon, unless...
the non-backstab means that Equality...
Equality's going to get the job done.
I wonder if... I mean... I feel like it's a good idea to backstab there. Not just because I see double Equality, but we know that there's double Equality in the list.
Maybe Flurry considered that if the Equality comes down, this is what the board state looks like, because Tom can't do anything else, and maybe just having the inequality used up and your opponent doing nothing else means that having a 3-1 that can keep pushing and he has enough value in hand, especially with a shadow step, means he can keep going. Now, don't get me wrong, I think in hindsight, a backstab for not losing the Edwin is very powerful.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're trying to get an idea of what's going to come up in the future, Flurry might think the backstab is actually worth keeping way more.
Well, backstab is only good to perhaps easily deal with Crystal Smith Kangor in this matchup, in my opinion. And obviously, the Shadow Step there on a Blink Fox is not great value, but he had to do it to prevent his board from being one-shotted by Consecration.
Right.
So, yeah, I do think not backstabbing there was a big mistake. And, oh my gosh, that's really sad.
The old 5-mana draw, one card.
And Tom knows exactly what card that is, either backstab or Shadow Step that is,
Yeah.
because there's no preparation.
Yeah, and it's just roughly more likely to be Shadow Step because backstab's already been used.
So is a Shadow Step on the
Oh,
Blink
you already
Fox.
used, sorry, yeah, so it's 50-50, okay.
Yeah.
I actually forgot after all that.
But yeah, the way this is panned out is Flurry has one minion with no attack in hand and a fair amount of burst, and things could very well change with one draw of Miscreant, but
I mean, he does have 12 damage overall. It's not too bad.
could have gotten 12 damage more if that Edwin stuck. Oh, the Myris changes a lot. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely the way to go. Just got 2 more lackeys. Depending on what he gets, I wouldn't mind just going for the
Deal
Mysterious Rate.
4.
But since he has the Witchy too, that's gotta come down this turn, I think.
Deal 4, make a 4-drop, and have 2 1/1s on the board. Seems okay to me.
So he's holding on to the... Okay, the Kobold will still most likely deal 4 next turn because you're not expecting Tom to go for a huge board clear on this state. But this is a sick timeout. And Tom's turns have been taking... It's pretty funny when your hardest turn is turn 2, whether or not you hero power, and then
Right.
everything else Tom has been playing rapid pace.
Ooh. Ancestral Spirit, I guess, is good. Makes something a little bit more survivable. The Redemption's a big deal. It turns that weapon into a Fiery War Axe.
I'm looking
And
at this
also...
clarification, though.
Really?
I mean...
Redemption's sick. There's no weapon removal from the... Oh, sorry, Tom's running the 1 Bloodsail Corsair.
Yeah.
But it would give him a...
I mean, it's just on curve next turn. It's something to do before Myra's.
But he
and
can kill
power-
him next turn.
I mean, I think he expects a board wipe this turn. This looks like it needs to get shrunk. Shrunk raid or second equality.
I don't know. I feel like with that turn, he has like 13 damage next turn, right? From
So you,
hand.
what did, so you wanted to redeem the, or I mean, so you would think that the 4/3 gets redeemed because it has the death rattle, Tom hits into it, and then it's,
If it's all cleared, right?
yeah.
I don't. Well, for me, it's more just activating the weapon for extra damage,
Sure.
and it's a cheap spell. Because I feel like Paladin can deal with slow, clunky minions. And I feel like he's so close to just lethal. If he, I mean, he's only a little bit of damage off anyway, but I feel this Power of Creation, unless he gets exactly charged minions, and there are a couple, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's 8 mana do one thing.
Well, I think it would be fine on this turn if there wasn't a Pyro stuck on the board. Now it makes it very awkward because now Tom just needs another Shrink Ray. But had there not been a Pyro and Tom had to, for example, go Pyro into Shrink Ray because he wouldn't have another spell activator, then you stick 2 Styx drops, which I think have average decent stats, probably requires either another timeout or another board clear. And then you just have that another round of threats. Combo card from your deck. Miscreant is a combo card. But I don't know if you want to rush a 5/3 into...
Right?
Don't think you want to rush a 5/3 into a Pyro, but probably just take the Wardens. The spell damage is sweet with the double Abyss.
Yeah, it seems good overall, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was looking at Hogger just for more stuff, but I don't think...
With a Pyro and board seems
yeah,
really
I don't
sketchy,
think the stuff's
right?
enough,
Yeah.
right? Like, you just want it as big as possible.
I just want to highlight this backstab has been in hand since since it did not kill the novice on turn 3. Yeah, Tom has definitely turned the corner now here.
We could be leading to, or at least witnessing, Flurry's first series defeat in Grandmasters so far to Tom, because this is looking progressively more rough.
Yeah, Tom's got 3 more sources of card draw in hand if you count the soup vendor. 9 cards left in deck. But Flurry is sitting on quite a lot of burst, still has the Leroy in the deck. I wouldn't count him out yet. But yes, now the backstab gets something to do because, yeah, as I mentioned, Kangor is probably the best minion. You want to hit it on in a vacuum.
Crystology not really what Tom's after right now. His hand is super full.
I don't think it even draws anything anymore, does it? He does not have Thalnos.
Elven Archer? He's not played, right?
Yeah. Right, just the one Elven. But you would rather Crystology to get that draw as opposed to drawing it off of the Novice, because that's just net 1 more draw. So I think it might come down this turn. He could go for some type of Pyro play. It's quite expensive though.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, does it? Maybe he just draws cards and times out and says, I'll deal with it next turn. Because suddenly on 23, just 7, 8 with the dagger, if you're just going to add that on anyway, like 8 damage from 23 health is actually starting to get into scary territory for Tom, I think, in terms of his thoughts on the fact he might die, especially that Flurry's held 2 cards on the far left for most of the game now. It's a little bit scary. Is he going for the Pyro?
Pyro Crystology. Oh, he's even fitting in the Acolyte. Okay, and then he immediately plays the Archer. Although
what does that do, though?
It just gets it out of hand, basically.
Okay. Seems like a very weak turn to use Pyro.
Notably, now he doesn't have the 30 from hand possibility either. And I think we've seen the Consecrates come out, so... Oh, he's only even got 1 in the primary.
So he cut the Consecrates.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's effectively just +1 damage with the Goblin Lackey. If he chooses to use it that way on a live minion, but I feel like in this, maybe he buffs the Miscreant and runs it into the Pyroblast to just stop some shenanigans the turn after.
Possibly.
Even just drop the Prelate down.
I just want to drop as many things as possible so we can Myra soon and run into that Leroy as soon as possible.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it always bugs me a little bit when people don't put the Lackey to the left of an actively attacking minion, because Direwolf Alpha is a card, but that's a very, very small consideration. And that is a premium minion to rush. Gets him armor, which puts him even further out of the Shirvala OTK range.
And also with 6 cards still left for Tom, it's unlikely you're going to be Chevaled in the next turn or so. And also there is just notes of saying, don't let someone randomly Cheval you, as in they have to just roll that 1 out 4 or whatever. So the armor is very, very nice, and we see it come into play here. So that's 3 armor now, maybe even more later if this 3-1 doesn't get cleaned up.
He takes the trade. Lots of respect. I think he just wants to stay as healthy as possible, whereas if you leave the Archer, there's a possibility Tom clears your board and pushes the 1 with the Archer.
And that's a big deal when True Silver Champion, plus the Chevala combo can get you from 30.
Has Tom used the Holy Wrath? That came from Flurry, right? And it dealt 0?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom can go for the 50 over 2 turns. So he can draw, like, if he wants to, 2 right now, and then put the timer down to 1 more turn. He's used both Pyro, so I feel like we are likely going to see the timeout happen this turn, but he should start withdrawing. Alternatively, he could do this, but then you're giving up the 50 over 2 turns.
It's kind of tough, right? This armor's actually a bit of a problem too. The Hammer of Wrath's nice for just the extra damage to face, but...
Oh!
He's just going for it. Or going for the potential of the extra damage.
Sure, okay.
5, okay.
Well, here's my question. If
He's
you're
gonna
going
heal
to do
back
that,
up. Wait, did you do the wrong order there?
yeah, shouldn't you draw with the soup vendor first by attacking with Shirvala, and then you turn it into a 1 in 4 that you hit the 25?
Also, you
instead of-
attack with the Shivala first because your opponent was on 30 and the Ziliax healed him back up, right?
Yeah. And the
Oh
Ziliax
no, it didn't heal him back up because of the Divine Shield on the Shivala.
Was it still health?
Because the Ziliax doesn't do any
Oh, yeah,
damage,
right,
right? Yeah.
sorry.
So it's an
Yeah.
order if you consider lifesteal, but when you put the Divine Shield in there, it doesn't matter.
I think the order is there for narrowing the deck a bit more, so because obviously you'd rather deal a 25 than 5.
Right.
So it gives you a 1 in 4 instead of a 1 in 5. Although it's very close and the rope was burning, it's a tough decision to use Shirvala at all that
Nutty as
turn.
well is,
Yeah.
Can you scheme the 3-1, the mech? Just play all armor mechs
I
and
don't
try and
hate it.
out-armor.
I honestly do not hate it.
But you also want the card out your hand, and then you Myras into just tons of 2/2s that gain you armor.
I mean, from Flurry's perspective here, if he knows that the remaining damage from hand of Tom is only Consecrate and Hammer of Wrath, then he just has to stay at this 31 for the rest of the game, and Tom can never OTK him. In fact, it would take 2 turns to go for Hammer of Wrath, Consecrate, and the Shirvala 25. That's just 30.
Yeah, because it's just the mana cost of everything you
Right.
have to do in the given turn.
I think Tom may have locked himself out of this game. I don't know if it was strictly wrong because, oh, there's still
That
a
one
true
helps.
silver. Yeah. Okay. Wait,
Now
is that
with-
an ice cream?
It is. It got evolved, yeah.
Okay.
So
Do you
now...
remember the card text on that?
No.
Doesn't that deal some...
It's to do with being frozen, right?
Yeah. I know that Hunter Ace has it in his
Hunter Ace would
secondary.
know,
Yeah. So it must heal somehow.
So right now, there is guaranteed lethal for Tom on his side, as in from his view.
Yeah.
So Flurry's the one who has to do something miraculous right now.
I forgot that there was still a true silver, so that makes it perfectly fine for Tom to expend the...
Life Drinker doesn't get him there. He can't play 2. So I believe with the weapon swing, and that is just going to be game. And that didn't look simple. I think there were just bits of that game on both players' side that could have gone different ways depending on how they played it out. But the way they did choose to play it out, I think Flurry had a bit of a rough hand in the early game there. He did have the good Van Cleef, but just the double abyss again, just catching him. But Tom is going to do the thing, the Baleful Banker into Shivala into the deck. The only minion, which means Holy Wrath is going to smack him for 25. And then the True Silver with the final extra push of damage, which I feel is what this deck's all about right now, is how do you deal the extra damage?
Right.
Because decks are so good at healing out of range. But congratulations to Tom. Another good run with this Paladin. We've got to be careful because next week's going to be all Holy Wrath Paladin potentially, because it's only getting stronger, right? With the Christology buff being at 1 mana, that is just a cheaper card that does exactly the same job it does today.
If anyone didn't know, the buffs are dropping on June 3rd, which is right after the end of this GM, and next week will be potentially a completely different meta.
Yeah, it will be, because every single class is going to have 2 cards that have been just strictly buffed.
Yeah.
No matter which way you look at it. So this could go a bit nutty next week, but let's focus on this week. Tom taking a win over Flurry means Flurry is finally defeated in Grandmasters, and Tom is going to work his way up. He was currently sitting at 3rd, but that extra win puts him on par with Flurry now, which is a huge, huge deal. So good job to Tom, and that's match number 3 of the day. We've got 2 more, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with my Asia Pacific Grandmasters.